Ideal Protein Nation, episode 49. Let's go. I am so sorry. We had a COVID delay this time. I can't believe that in 49 shows over 2 years, this is the first time that my featured guest actually came down with COVID the day before recording. And that's why we've had to go an extra week. But I've got a really great show for you today. I can't wait to introduce to you the two ladies that we've got. So, for those of you that are new to the Life Possible podcast, the Life Possible podcast spotlights successful clients, coaches, and clinic owners who have used the Ideal Protein protocol to reset their body, reset their mind, and actually reset what's possible for their lives. These individuals have truly had life-changing experiences, and now as a result, they're pursuing goals and dreams that they thought were dead and gone. They're pursuing goals and dreams they thought they never could. And in some cases, they're pursuing goals and dreams they never even knew they wanted to try. They're busy living a life so much they don't feel like they need to escape from it anymore. They're busy living what we like to refer to as life possible. Well, who am I and why am I doing this? My name is Dr. John Barnes, and I'm the clinic director of Reset Wellness in Centerville, Virginia, a suburb of Washington, D.C. We are an Ideal Protein clinic and have been now for 7 years. And how do we get there? Well, I tell you, there's no easy way to put it. But 7 years ago, I found myself stuck. I was fat, sick, and depressed, and I really didn't see a way out. I had broken my metabolism in a way that I just did not know what happened. And I didn't think there was a way out. So I truly believe that the Ideal Protein Protocol was the answer to a lot of my prayers, both personally and professionally. I lost 45 pounds initially, but now I'm over 60 pounds down. And actually, last September, I was able to complete my first half Ironman distance triathlon, which was a 20-something dream of mine that I certainly thought was dead and gone. I'm busy living a life now that's healthy, vibrant, and alive. I'm a chiropractor, and when I brought this program into my office, I had no idea the impact that it was going to have, and how we were going to be able to transform people's lives in doing this. So who do I have for you today? Who is our guests? Well, I'm going to bring to you Jenna Thomsen. We are going to go to Lincoln, Nebraska to meet these two ladies. Jenna has lost over 100 pounds doing the Ideal Protein program. She did it with her husband. So between the two of them, we're going to find out that total between the two of them, how much they've lost. But she's got an incredibly inspirational story. We're also going to get to meet her clinic owner and coach, Penny Spanjer. Penny is the owner of Ideal Protein with Penny in Lincoln, Nebraska. And she's got a really, really great story as to how she made her own journey to become an Ideal Protein clinic owner. So without further ado, let's bring them in. Let me see if I can find them here. There's Jenna. Hey, Jenna, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for having us.
Oh, it's absolutely my pleasure. I'm so excited. Hey, Penny.
Hi, friends.
How are you today?
I'm good. I'm excited. I'm nervous.
Please don't be. Please, please. No,
Okay.
although I heard, after a long day at the clinic, your last couple of clients were very difficult.
Oh, they're tough. So
Is that the case?
Thanks a lot, friend.
No, I always schedule Eric and Jenna last because we would have plenty of time to get all of our talking in and, play with the dogs and do all the things.
Yeah, Penny's very fortunate that she lets me come from Omaha to Lincoln, which is an hour drive from work, bring the two pups. My husband and I weigh in together every week, and we have for the last 13 months.
Wow.
And so it's just a really nice way. And since we've known each other for such a long time, it's a nice way to spend one day a week together.
Oh, that's really cool. And you know what? Let's just start off with that. I think this is a great part of the story. The fact that you two were friends first for many years before you even decided to take this journey, Jenna, with Penny. Tell me a little bit about the history of your friendship.
So I guess I'll jump in. I've been a Penny fangirl for probably a decade. And she used to work at the chiropractic office that my husband and I have gone to for, a number of years. and just knew her, going and seeing her once a week. And it kind of spiraled into a friendship. And we realized that we had a lot in common. And about 3 years ago, Penny started getting into life coaching and Ideal Protein. And so we kind of morphed and obviously remained friends, but, you know, did some things together outside of the chiropractic office and outside of seeing her there. And it took a while for me to hop on Ideal Protein. But ultimately, that's what got me here, was through a decade-long friendship from the chiropractic office.
That's so neat. I think that's a great segue just to get into. I wanted to start the show off, Penny. You've got a really neat path and a really neat story as far as how you ended up becoming a clinic owner. Can you kind of take us on that journey, starting with, let's start with, your own life experience with weight and weight loss.
Mm-hmm. It's a long story. Weight has been an issue for me from as early as I can remember. I'm going to say probably like 5th or 6th grade, except my issue was that I was the skinny kid. So I was made fun of. I was bird legs. I was the weak one. I was the last to be chosen for everything. And so I put myself on a quest to gain weight through the years. And I tried. I did everything. I mean, I ate more than an adult man would eat most days. Still could not gain weight. Did that all through high school. It really became kind of a junk food addict. Like as soon as I could afford my own food, I was going to the gas station. I was going to the grocery store. I was just eating whatever I could get my hands on and not really ever gaining any weight. I had just like maybe a little tiny bit of a belly, but never really any meat on my bones. And then time passed and I had my first child at age 25. And within a couple of months of giving birth, I found out that I had some curves. I actually was, putting on some weight, which was kind of cool. Except then the weight never stopped. And it just kept going and going and going and going to the point where it was really a problem. And that's kind of where I started doing all of the different diets. In my 20s, it was easier to do a crash diet for a couple of months, take off some pounds, start feeling pretty good about myself, go right back to what I was doing. I never really identified myself as a carb addict until much later in life, and actually probably not until I learned about Ideal Protein. I never really made that connection with sugar and carbs and the addiction and that vicious cycle that causes. So did lots of diets, did lots of things, could lose 15 pounds, could lose 30 pounds, would always bring it back, plus some.
No, Penny, I think I want to stop you right here because I think there's a lot of really great stuff in here that people can relate to. Mm-hmm. I share the same story with you as far as being the 98-pound weakling when I was, through grade school, middle school, and into high school, going on a weight gain diet, 1,000-calorie shakes and hours in the gym, et cetera. Fascinating, and I didn't get pregnant, luckily enough. But fascinating when you think of women getting pregnant and the physiologic changes that happen during pregnancy. Literally, as I've been taught now, it takes a woman's physiology into insulin resistance, into a state that we can mostly identify with Ideal Protein, right? We're familiar with insulin resistance as being the metabolic dysfunction that many of our clients come in with. But physiologically, a pregnant woman does it on purpose so that the baby can grow and can add weight, et cetera. But some people never pull out of that. And so, again, if you're out there and you're hearing Penny's story and you're identifying with that, that's another really great indicator that you'd make a great candidate for the Ideal Protein program, because physiologically, that's exactly the situation that this program addresses, really, right?
So from there, it was kind of interesting. In my adult life, then I took on a new career at the chiropractic office, and that just kind of fell in my lap. I wasn't really even a chiropractic patient to speak of before that, but through a friend of a friend, I heard about this opening and I thought I'd check it out. And I was hired then as the office manager and the radiographer there. And I really learned to love the holistic lifestyle, the philosophy behind the body heals the body. everything you eat matters, what you think matters, the way you sleep matters, the way you move your body. It's all one big system. And I really fell in love with all of that and decided to, maybe pursue that a little further. And so while I was working there, the doctor there, he sent me to like a health coaching class that I did. It was an online thing. I think it was like 8 weeks. And that way he could deal with, adjusting patients and educating them. But then I could kind of talk to them on the side and, like, what else is going on with you? Or what else can we work on that's going to help you hold these adjustments and live your best life and reduce your stress?
That's great. That's
and so
cool.
I learned a lot while I was there. And I really did improve my own physical body quite a bit. I reduced some headaches. I was feeling so much better. But the weight was always still up and down through that whole time. Of course, that's during the time I met Jenna too. And I don't think we ever talked about really those kinds of things, but interesting how we have morphed into where we're at now. So during that time that I was working for the chiropractor, and John, I kind of told you this before, I went from a job that I really loved, helping people, talking to people, dealing with people, to being stuck in the back office, dealing with insurance and car accidents. And all the things that do not bring a whole lot of joy, talking to attorneys every day. And so I decided to go ahead and renew. It had been 10 years. I decided to renew that life and health coaching certification, which I did during that time. And my whole plan through that whole thing was that I would still stay in the chiropractic office and really build a community, based around this, my page that I called One Saved Penny. And it was a place where people could go and be vulnerable and tell their story, and we can relate to each other and we can help each other and support each other. And it was a really, really great thing. But as I kept building it, I kept kind of wanting a little bit more and, wanting to do more of the health coaching and more of the life coaching and more of the things. And so I came up with this idea that I was going to do vision board workshops. And my plan behind that was that I could help people identify some dreams, like actually give them a chance to think about, what do I want in my life? Or where could I go if I allowed myself to do this? Because a lot of people don't know how to dream, or they gave up on their dreams a long time ago, or maybe their life took them in a direction that they're not really seeing anymore as an option. So started doing these workshops, and as they grew, I had to find a bigger space. And I happened to find this pharmacy here in Lincoln that had a conference room. So in the pictures that you see, there's Jenna with a couple of friends, and they had completed their vision board workshops there. And I'll let her tell you about her actual vision board experience. But the crazy thing is that while I was there, I would see the ideal protein that they had in their waiting room. And I always thought it was like their junk food aisle.
Like healthy junk food, right?
Yeah. So they were very efficient. So when I would walk in to reserve or to pay, I never really had a chance to look at the things, but I knew they were there. I just didn't know what it was. And I never asked, and I really didn't care. That's not why I was there. But it turned out that I was in there one day and they were very busy. And the person apologized and said, "I'm so sorry. We're just so busy. We're trying to hire a health coach or a ideal protein coach," is what she said. And I was like, "Oh, what's ideal protein?" And of course, she told me a little bit. And in that moment, I was kind of like, well, that's what I do, and I'm here every week and I'm doing these vision board workshops. And at the workshops, I would tell people, I would hold up my own board and I'm saying, I've achieved all of these things in the last year. The only thing I'm still working on right here in this corner is my weight loss. And at that point, maybe I think I'd lost 25 pounds over the course of an entire year, by doing the things like eating better and eating less and exercising more. Mm-hmm. So it was just so interesting how, this ideal protein thing was right here all along when I'm telling people put out your dreams and it's going to come to you one way or another. It might not be the way you expect. It might be even better. We just don't know until it falls in our laps and you grab it and run with it. Mm-hmm. So it was neat to have done this vision board workshop. The picture you're seeing there was Jenna. And then
tell us later, Jenna, jump in. I want to hear about your experience doing a vision board workshop. I'm fascinated by this concept.
Yeah,
this is before you even taking this journey, right? Or
this was probably 3 years, 2 to 3 years before I started Ideal Protein. And Penny had said, hey, I'm going to do a vision board event. Are you interested? Bring a girlfriend. We'll listen to music. We'll flip through magazines. It'll be so fun. And I thought, well, that's kind of hokey. But honestly, that was my my first response. And
sure.
I thought, well, why not? We'll see what it's all about. And I love girl time. And so we went. And what's really interesting about my board is, as I've reflected back on it, and Penny kind of had me pull out pictures and look at it, 3 or 4 months ago, so much of this has come true. And I've really kept this in my bedroom over the last 3 or 4 years. And my husband and I love to travel. And so there's a lot on here about travel. I had another dog on here, which it's just the type of dog that, we love, and we already had one. And funny enough, my brother's coworker was rehoming his dog. And it was a very quick, hey, do you want this dog? Or I'm taking it to the Humane Society. And it just looks just like this dog. I had a lot on here about being true to yourself, focusing on yourself. And I actually, on my phone over here, blew up what the quote says just above the food plate, because in the back of my mind, I knew that getting healthy was a big priority for me. I just wasn't there yet. And so the quote that resonated for me that's on my board, which I think is so interesting, is no matter how much or how little weight you want to lose, you absolutely can do it if you just believe in yourself.
Yeah, I read
and that's the quote that's
really
cool on that board.
Picture.
And so I think between, my focus on compassion for all, which is a lot of what I do at my job as a healthcare nonprofit, ensuring affordable healthcare is for everyone, to the dog, to the food, to the travel, it really sunk in as, wow, these are things that over time have come true. So I still kind of in the back of my head think, it's kind of hokey, but I really, I am glad that I do it, and I still have it next to my bed.
Well, yeah. And Penny, real quick, if you could just give us a quick overview of the process of vision boarding and what the concept is and what you see comes out of it.
I love talking about this, so I'm going to try to keep it super short and not go overboard.
You might get your own show, so let's give them a teaser. Let's give them a teaser as far as
a vision board. You just kind of sit down and you kind of empty your mind, and you go through books or magazines, and you pull out pictures or photos or sayings, words that resonate with you. And it doesn't have to make any sense. You just pull them out, keep making a pile. And then when you have your pile kind of set out, then you go through them and you rearrange them and put them on this board. And it's things that are important to you, like, where do I want to go? Who do I want to be? What do I want to have? How do I get there? And you're not really focusing on how any of it happens. You're just saying, like, this is the end result I want. So I've actually evolved to calling it a planning board, because literally every board I've made has happened. Like, it's scary how it's like so accurate. So now, instead of like a vision, I'm saying, like, this is my plan. This is what I want to achieve. And you don't worry about how you're going to get there. You just, say kind of to yourself, I want this or something better, or this or something more. And once you kind of have that in your mind, I think it just opens up doors and opportunities, and maybe things that were there all along that you just didn't identify. But now that you've, visualized it and kind of made it set in stone, you're more likely to see those things and grasp them and follow them. And one thing I kind of wanted to point out about Jenna's board that is true for every single person that has made a board, no matter what weight they are picking pictures of people who are healthy and living a happy and healthy lifestyle. And so no one dreams of doing all of these things at a sad or miserable or overweight body or a sick body. And I think that even if weight wasn't in her horizon, she made it be there just by choosing those photos.
Wow.
And I think one thing I'll add to that, Penny, I think that's a really good point, is that the pictures in the upper right-hand corner, I intentionally remember choosing happy older couples because I was earlier in my marriage. And it was so important to me that my spouse and I continue to have this amazing relationship where we enjoy spending time together and we travel together and we spend our lives together doing fun adventures. And so that's kind of the planning that I wanted, was him and I doing this together.
And that you did.
Yeah.
It is absolutely amazing. And coincidentally this month I had a client come in and she showed me a picture of her vision board. And she's like, I just wanted to show this to you because I realized this morning that, man, I kind of did this when I started my ideal protein journey. And so many of these things have come true, she was like 3/4 of the way done. And I love that. I think that's a really, really neat concept.
Like and they're really fun. And you're getting together with another group of people who are, talking about the same types of things, and you're helping each other find photos that they might like. It's just a really fun experience.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
And it was really cool too, because like about 3 months from the date of that vision board workshop, I was back in that same pharmacy as the Ideal Protein coach, giving educational seminars on what is Ideal Protein all about. And I never would have guessed that that would have been my path. A year from then, I'm a standalone clinic owner. I'm going on 2 years now. Never, ever would have planned that. And kind of thinking back to when I first started the coaching, I wanted to, help people. I wanted to have maybe 6 clients at a time where we're focusing on their dreams and their goals and then figuring out how to get there. And now when I look at my calendar and I'm like, I'm not helping a few people, I'm helping many people. Never would have dreamed that it would have come out this way. But I can't imagine any better way that it could have happened either.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm going to quote you because you actually sent me some text that you had thought about very deeply. And the thing that I loved was when you told me that Ideal Protein was the exact system that you needed to tie everything together in order to help people in the way that I'd always dreamed about.
Right.
This is a huge deal for me. As far as I'm concerned, weight loss is the gateway for personal transformation, for full personal transformation. And, it's a situation of once you get your physiology and your body feeling good again, it's easier to see yourself doing things that you're currently not doing or that you've always wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And, we always try to coach our clients now. Once we reach that weight loss goal, we need to set another meaningful life goal. And we need to start on that path. And so I think I can see in our office a vision board workshop becoming a part of what we do here.
Yep.
So that we can continue to coach them in personal transformation in that way.
Yeah.
Well,
speaking of personal,
you'll hear what's important to people as they're brainstorming that board. And I think those are the levers that could be barriers for people, or that could be the spark that leads into, the next step for someone else. And so, yes, I would highly recommend it because it definitely makes you think.
Yeah, no, that's super cool. But let's get on to your story of personal transformation through Ideal Protein with Penny.
Yeah.
Start us off as far as you're concerned. The thing that I thought was great, and one of your biggest messages is, stop waiting for the perfect time. Right. Mm-hmm. I want you to take our listeners and viewers through the process of you struggling with getting yourself to a point where you were willing to take the plunge to do the Ideal Protein weight loss journey.
Yeah. If there's ever an optimistic, stubborn person, that's me. If you, even looking back on my vision board, I had a statement that said, I thoroughly enjoy being me. And my narrative forever was that I was the fun, excitable, engaging, extroverted big person. I just happened to be bigger. And see, there you go. This is one of our Christmas photo shoots.
That's why I stole that picture off your Facebook, because to me, that was a great example of that persona.
Yeah. And, I have wonderful friends and family that we love to go out and try new restaurants, and we love craft beer. And anyway, it really got to the point that I had this narrative in my mind that that's who I was. And I was traveling a lot for work, and I was noticing that I was needing to request seatbelt extenders. I was wanting to play more and more with my really young nieces and nephews. They'd want to go to bounce houses, and I was constantly checking signs for weight limits. And I just realized that the way physically my weight and my physical, not appearance, but my weight really was holding me back.
Yeah.
And there were things that I wasn't doing because I was fearful or I didn't want to be embarrassed. And that big, fun girl was starting to say no to things,
Wow. Wow.
in ways
Yeah.
that I never
Yeah.
had before. And so keep in mind, before I had mentioned that Penny and I had been friends for years. And so I had seen her go to the pharmacy. I'd seen her launch her clinic, and she was really good about marketing material and saying, here's a promotion we're doing for Christmas. Here's a promotion we're doing for the new year. And I never really realized how people sit back and watch. And I was one of those people that for years I sat back and I watched, and I was such a fast food junkie. I was doing a lot of fast food runs. I was hiding bags. I was stopping and throwing things away before my husband could find the number of trash bags I had in my car. I was secret eating, and there were just a lot of behaviors that I wasn't proud of myself for.
Yeah.
And so Penny ultimately on Facebook last summer or early spring posted a marketing message that said, if you could lose 30 to 40 pounds by Labor Day, would you? Some kind of
Yeah.
inspirational, would you get out of your own way basically to learn more about Ideal Protein? And I remember texting her that day and saying, I have to come in. I have to come in and I have to talk to you about this. And Eric's going to come with me because my husband had some weight to lose as well. And we had become, comfortable together. And
Yeah.
obviously we'd been together for a long time, and we had a lot of bad habits that we had formed together as a couple.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so we came in, and I remember us coming in June of 2021 and me just telling her everything I could think of to tell her about why I felt like this was the right time for me, why I was terrified to do Ideal Protein, all of my history with food. I had a master's thesis on memorable messages with body image. I mean, I knew so much about it, but I just couldn't get out of my own way.
Yeah.
And so we sat down for 2 hours after work one night, and Penny just listened to me sob. And Eric, my traditional mechanical engineering husband, kind of sat there and was very thoughtful and, said, yes, this is how we eat currently, and kind of went through the protocol. And, at the end of our time together, I had told Penny that the next week my family was going on vacation, and my entire family was going up to Minnesota, and we were going to go to cabins and, do activities and bonfires and the works. And I said, if we start, I would want to start when we get back. And maybe I should just come back when we're done with vacation and talk about it and sign up then. And my husband looked at me and he said, I really think if you leave, you're not coming back. And he knew me well enough to say, I can tell that this is really scary for you. It's a big change, but this is what we need right now. And so let's sign up today. Let's put dates on the calendar of we're starting on this date. We're grocery shopping on this date. We're picking up our food on this date. We're weighing in on this date. And that's what we did.
To me, that's so powerful when you told me that story. I'm in the room with you guys. I'm seeing this happen. I'm seeing Eric go, wow, didn't expect all that. right?
Yeah.
He probably didn't expect everything that went on there. But again, just what an incredible guy, and his insight into you and saying, look, no, we're not leaving this room until we sign up, and we're both doing this. I'm in it with you. I've got your back. And I just think that's it's so fantastic.
Yeah.
Penny, do you have a lot of couples in your practice? Do you?
I
heard that
do have a lot of couples. I love couples. We call it marriage counseling some days.
That's how I started off. I have them come in. I say, well, do you guys want to do this together? Your coaching visits together or apart? If I have to separate you, I'm not a marriage counselor. So if I have to separate you, I will.
Yeah. And for the most part, it's really good. There's been a couple of times that people have decided to come alone. And when they do, I find that they talk about the other person's experience and how proud they are of their spouse and how great they're doing and how wonderful they look. And it's really fun to hear from their perspective what they're seeing too. A big thing is, I tell people right up front, you're going to do the same things. You're going to eat the same food. And maybe the wife does all the cooking. And every time the man's going to lose double the amount of weight as the woman does. So you got to be prepared for that and not be upset by it. It's just normally how that works. It's, metabolism and it's pretty common. But Jenna was like, nope, not me.
I was going to say, Jenna, I heard it might have been different for you. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So Eric and I started July 15th and we weighed in together outside of business travel. We weighed in together every week, and we have for the past 13 months. Every week. We were here an hour ago weighing in together. And for the first 60 pounds until he transitioned into phase 2, we were complete lock and step.
Yeah.
And so we took pictures together. You can see the boards behind Penny. We signed boards together. It was really freaky how in step we were. We hit 25 pounds together. We hit 50 pounds together. And so right behind Penny's head, you guys can't see it. It's too small, but we would actually sign the board, Jenna and Eric, because we were signing on the same day. And so it kind of made it, just this friendly competition, almost like, oh, you lost 2, I lost 2.2. And we just kind of kept it going. And I think we were just so proud of each other, and we were doing the same things. We'd make sure we prepped our meals, and we would log together, and it just was an easy routine to fall into.
Yeah, I can't stress enough how doing it with your spouse it increases the effectiveness so tremendously, the success. That you can't underestimate the value of that.
And it really does strengthen the bond. If you're doing this together, you're shopping together, you're cooking together, you're dividing out your vitamins together. You're listening to each other's tummies growling together.
Yeah.
And if one person has a low day, that's usually when the other person's having a good day, and they can kind of pull the other person up.
Yeah.
Yes. So as a couple so far, we've lost almost 170 pounds together.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm at about 110, and he has maintained. I mean, he hit phase 2 in January. So he's been really kind of wavering, with that phase 2 to phase 3. He'll pull it back. He always eats phase 1 dinner with me. And so that's really, really nice. And makes it easy for us to be in different phases together. But yeah, I mean, we've just kind of been lock and step ever since we started. And one thing I didn't mention that I really think I should mention is that, we're in our late 30s. And so Eric's turning 39 here in a couple of days, and I'm 38. And so as we were starting this journey together, I had just gotten a new primary care provider, and I had gone in, and my weight was over 300 pounds. My triglycerides were insane. My provider was debating putting me on metformin. I had high blood pressure. I was on high blood pressure medication. And, I remember like that being one of my, my narrative is not right. Like, I don't want to be the person that, is still in my 30s when I should be active and on these adventures and working and having fun and with friends and with family. And I'm taking 5 medications a night and not sleeping well. And Eric had actually recorded me in my sleep. Bless him. He had recorded me in my sleep snoring because obviously you can't hear yourself. And he wanted me to hear how I sounded. And at first I was so angry. And as Penny and I started talking about, like as I got on the program and I started losing, that's the first thing that changed. Was that first 15 pounds, Eric said, you're sleeping so much better. You don't sound like you're fighting for air. I can tell that you're getting a better night's rest. And so even before I could start to see the physical changes, that was the very first thing, was like, oh my gosh, I actually am physically feeling better and sleeping better.
Yeah, I've heard that from more than one patient or more than one patient's spouse. I truly, there's a fat pad back there that gets large when we get large, but there's got to be an inflammatory component to what goes on with that, because I have had people come back and say, oh my God, he stopped snoring and he hasn't really lost all that much weight. And so, again, listeners and viewers out there, if sleep apnea and snoring and those kinds of things are issues, these are all things that tend to respond really well. And you don't have to wait until you've lost all the weight to achieve these kind of results. Yeah, that's awesome. You know what? One of the topics that I want to get you on, Jenna, is choose your hard. Can we talk about that? I thought that was really great when you brought that up to me. That's kind of one of your messages to people.
Yeah, ever since I've started this journey, I've had a few friends ask, is it hard? Is it difficult? Is not drinking difficult? Or is, sticking to the protocol difficult? And I think the thing that really jumps into my mind is there are hard things in life, and you kind of have to pick what you want to tolerate or what your hard is. So for me, traveling with work colleagues that I admire the heck out of and lying so that I don't sit next to them and say, oh, I'm just, I'm going to read a book or I'm going to take a nap, when really it's because I didn't want them to see me ask for that seatbelt extender. That was hard.
Yeah.
Or going to an amusement, some kind of amusement park event and seeing that the weight limit's 250 and I'm just too far above that to feel comfortable riding that ride. That's hard. Or going, my mom and I love to go see musicals, and it's a, older 100-year-old theater. And so the seats are naturally thinner. And so it was getting kind of uncomfortable to squeeze into those chairs. And so it was activities like that I didn't want that to be my hard. I didn't want to hold my breath when I tied my shoes. Those,
amen.
Right? Like those were the types of things that I was like, I would rather have this hard of figuring out how to become a healthy person, in air quotes for anyone listening online.
Right.
That's what really scared me, is that was my hard, is I don't know how to be a healthy person. And I had to get over myself a little bit when it came to what healthy was. I had done Weight Watchers. I had seen my mom do Jenny Craig and other different types of diets. When I was a kid, I was not thin. My brother was on weight gainers and I was on Slim Fast. And so, I had a weird relationship with food that I'm still working through. And I think that's the hard that to me is so much more meaningful than the hard that I was dealing with before.
Sure, absolutely. And again, that's why we need a coach, right? That's where coaches like Penny come in, to help get you through that hard, to get you through the fears, to teach you the stuff about becoming healthy, what that really means, right?
And I truly hope that everyone has a coach like Penny, that when you walk in the door, she says, "Ooh, you look cute in that outfit today." Or like, "Oh no, those jeans do not fit anymore. Those are too big. Those have to go in the donut now." Because
I love that.
as you're losing, with me anyway, I had a little bit of body dysmorphia in the sense that I didn't realize, she would have me look at pictures from different angles because she would say, you do look quite different. And now those pants, they don't fit you anymore. So yes, you're still losing, but maybe try to buy a few outfits that fit you a little bit better. And so someone to kind of talk you through, the in between.
That's awesome. That's great. Next thing that I wanted to touch on was something that you brought up, the idea of giving yourself meaningful prizes along the way. Not waiting until you've lost all of your weight to reward yourself. We want to kind of place these rewards, especially if our journey is going to be long. We want to place some rewards in significant places. And you had a really cool one. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah. So when I was still pretty early on in my journey, I met someone through Ideal Protein that had lost over 300 pounds. And that was a really good piece of advice that she had given, was just celebrate yourself and celebrate yourself in new and kind of unique ways. So I know I'm one personally that if I want a pedicure, I'm going to go get a pedicure. It's not like, oh, I lost 20 pounds, I'm going to reserve this pedicure. That didn't really do it for me. And so I started thinking outside the box, thinking, what couldn't I do when I was larger that I want to do now? So there is, between Omaha and Lincoln, there's an Air and Space Museum that a former astronaut is a CEO of, and it's this really cool place, the SAC Museum. And they have flight simulators. So I'm sure, people all over the country have seen these, where you hop in and you get this digital screen and you look at it and you can, shoot at planes and things like that. Well, Eric and I, my husband and I, had been there probably 5 years ago with my nieces and nephews, and I was over the weight limit. And I remember looking at that and saying, I'm doing that. And when Penny asked me, make yourself a prize, make yourself some kind of meaningful thing for you to do when you hit different milestones. That was the very first thing. As I said, I know this kind of sounds silly, and it isn't even really that I want to do it. It's that I couldn't do it before.
Yes, absolutely.
And so we went back, and we actually went with Penny and her husband, Blaine. And so we did a little recording and took some pictures and kind of made a whole afternoon of it, because it was very symbolic.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that we might have that video. If I've got it queued up, we might be able to access that video right now. Let's take a peek.
Space Museum in Ashland.
Oh, seriously, what are you doing here?
Okay, guys, so listen to this. I have to tell you, this is the flight simulator, and I was here about 5 or 6 years ago, and I was too heavy to ride. I was over the weight limit, and so we decided to come back, and now that I'm way under the weight limit, we're going to fly and see what it's all about. So when my weight loss coach asked me to make goals about things I wanted to do when I hit different, weight loss milestones, this was the very first thing I thought of, was coming back and doing this, not because I really wanted to do it, but because I was pissed I couldn't do it the first time. So I'll let you know how it goes. Bye, guys.
Okay, we're going to take a quick look at your child-sized body that gets to ride on the simulator. Woohoo!
I love that. I absolutely love that. And that thing looks scary as heck. You got in there?
Penny did too. Yeah, I rode with my husband and she rode with hers. It was fun.
It was a fun
Nobody
thing.
threw up.
No. No,
No throwing up. Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So we've, Eric and I have tried to think about things like that, pictures we can recreate, activities that we liked to do before that maybe we weren't doing as much. So this one right here, for those of you that can see the screen, is a side-by-side. So I told you the week before I started my journey, I went up on a family vacation in Minnesota, and my brother and I went kayaking. And so that yellow photo is
Gotcha.
him and I going
Yeah.
kayaking, and you can see, like, you really can see the smile on my face. I love to kayak. I'm having a great time. But deep down, I remember being fearful, like, please don't sink. Just please don't sink. And over 4th of July weekend, my husband and I met some friends up in South Dakota, and we were able to rent some kayaks. And Eric said, let's recreate that picture and have you hold the kayak in exactly the same way, have the oar face
Yeah.
the same way, everything. And at that point, I'd hit, I think, roughly that 100-pound mark.
Yeah.
And so that was really exciting to recreate that picture.
Yeah, no, I thought that was super cool when you sent it over. There's this big, big difference between those two pictures.
Yeah.
And how much easier that was to get in and out and to maneuver
Yeah.
and to look at the picture and feel so proud.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I cried.
Yeah.
Did you?
Oh,
They sent it to me, and yeah, I definitely had some teary eyes.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
sweet. I don't think I've cried hardly at all during this journey, because I think I'm just so caught up in the moment, and I'm just so proud of what we've been able to accomplish as really a collective. Like, Eric and I are not doing this, just him and I. Every week it is an adventure. We bring the dogs, we come see Penny, we get our food, we weigh in. And it's just such an exciting time that there are sometimes I check myself and I'm like, I just cannot believe that I'm almost down to the weight that I was when him and I started dating 15 years ago. It is just mind-boggling to me. And I think I just am so proud. And I couldn't have done it. I could not have done it without Ideal Protein, because I needed the protocol absolutely to get myself going.
I love that picture.
Yeah, I love this picture too. I think it's so cute. And then I love the fact that you are the only name on the 100 board so far.
I am. And I hope that there are other friends doing this with Penny that are on their way there. And one thing to keep in mind is right above Penny's head, you can't see, is there's a goal board. And so she's got 25, 50, 75, 100 and goal. So there's a ton of people that have hit goal. They just didn't have 100 pounds to lose. And so total shout outs to those people as well. I was the first one to sign the 100 pounds.
And so catch us up as of tonight. How far along are you, and where are you from your goal?
Yeah, so I'm at 109.6. So I guess we'll be gracious and round up to 110. And the thing I love about setting goals with Ideal Protein is it's all about what feels right.
Yeah.
So from the very beginning, when I sat down with Penny and Eric and I were talking about what felt right with the goal, it was almost arbitrary. It was, this is our goal for now. If you feel amazing 5 pounds before you hit that goal, that's okay.
Yep.
If you hit your goal and you say, you know what, I think another 5 pounds would be great. And so right now with where it stands, I'm aiming to lose another 15 pounds, and then I'll transition into phase 2 and we'll see what that looks like. And I think just with my history of, having dieted in the past and having some insecurities around regaining weight, I am completely on board with getting a therapist as I transition into phase 2, just to make sure that I'm not only taking care of myself physically, but then I'm also taking care of myself mentally. Because I think that's going to be a whole nother journey is figuring out not just how to lose, but how to maintain. And so we'll be, hopefully, I keep saying Halloween just as like a mile marker, hopefully in the next couple months, we'll see what phase 2 is all about.
Sure, absolutely. It sounds like you are well on your way, and
Yeah.
what an incredible way to look at the next chapter too, right? Actually, I had this very conversation with Sonia Jones this afternoon about somebody who is hemming and hawing over the 6 pounds that they still couldn't get to, and the bottom line was, well, how great do you feel now? And what's so big about that number? You're feeling amazing now. You're looking amazing now. Everything's in the healthy ranges. Let's just not chase a number. Let's chase. I like to call it a metabolic mentality as opposed to diet mentality, right?
Absolutely.
But if we don't fix this, then there's such a bigger chance of relapse and such a bigger chance of going backwards. So that counseling component is so super important.
I think that goes along with the celebrating along the way too. Like, yes, you had rewards, but every week was a celebration, because we're not just looking at the number on the scale. We're talking about, how are you feeling? How's your energy? How's your sleep? How are things going at work? And it really is a all-encompassing thing. It's kind of like the whole chiropractic lifestyle. Like, it affects every single aspect of your life. And if you can celebrate those along the way, then you really get to enjoy that process. It's not just constantly striving for that final number on the scale, which again, what does that even mean when you get to see?
I totally agree with you. And it's just so interesting, the things that you pay attention to. I'm a pretty regular platelet donor. And so I go to the Red Cross quite a bit. And every time you go to the Red Cross, they test your iron and they do your blood pressure. And a year ago, I was getting warnings about high blood pressure. And I can go back through my app, which is so interesting, and I can track that movement. And my iron was always low because my diet was the food I was eating was not nutritious. And so now I go in and I don't worry about that. And my blood pressure, I'll text Penny and I'll say, oh my gosh, I was 10 points under the healthy range. This is just amazing. And now I'm transitioning off my medications through my doctors. And so I think that as, we've kind of gone through the in-between of what this journey is like, it's been really fun just to see some of those changes.
Yeah, Jenna, I don't know if you remember this, but in the first 2 to 3 weeks, you had sent me a screenshot of your Fitbit that showed how your heart rate had gone down drastically.
Wow.
Just for those first, 15 pounds.
Yeah, I do remember that. So, I would drive home. So I told you I work in Omaha, I live in Lincoln. So anyone that knows that distance, it's a 45-minute I-80 commute back and forth. And that gives you time to listen to podcasts, kind of, wind down from
decompress. Yeah.
And I would be driving down the road and my resting, my heart rate would be in the high 80s driving down the road. And I was like, that is crazy. And so as I got into Ideal Protein and I started following the protocol, your Fitbit app shows you, your resting heart rate and your heart rate over time. And now just sitting here, it's 15, 20 points lower than it was last year. And so I think about that. And, my doctor was like, think about how much less your heart has to work.
Yeah.
Because you've taken that weight off of your body.
Yeah, that's amazing. Hey, the other thing I thought was really cool, and Penny, I've never thought about doing this, but evidently you do this with your clients, inches lost. Not just saying that total inches lost, but kind of adding them end to end to end, and how long that actually is.
Yeah.
How many inches has Penny lost at this stage of her game?
Jenna.
Jenna?
53 inches.
53 inches. That's over 4 feet.
It is. If she was a dog, she would have no feet. We did something really fun. And Jenna said she didn't cry very much during this journey, but every time that we cried, it was like these happy tears. But a couple of weeks ago, she had come without Eric, so we had extra time. And so we took the tape measure and I showed her obviously where she's at now, but then I also pulled the tape measure out to show her where she started. And that was breathtaking. Like, I almost get choked up right now because it was so fun to see those numbers. and to see her face and just the disbelief of like, I did this, you know, when you're looking at your stomach. Do you remember how many inches off of your tummy that you lost, Jenna? I don't have it on me right now.
It was like
I could have gotten
17, something crazy.
Yeah.
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 Another way to look at progress without looking at the scale.
And I think the thing that was so fascinating to me with that was that activity never gets old. Like if you're doing a long journey like I am, every 3 months or so, or every 6 months, if you do that and you say, you know, I've lost 3 inches off my neck. Like you don't think about that. Like neck, like that's
Right.
crazy. And I just every piece of me that we've measured has been fascinating to say, oh my gosh, I really lost that many inches off my thigh or off my hips. And it just, you know, seeing all of the empty room between the tape measurer and, you know, what I look like now, again, is just such a reminder of week after week after week. You just have to show up, you know, you just have to work the protocol and just do it. And yeah, there's going to be days where coworkers bring in donuts and breakfast pizza and, you know, you get invited to events and man, it'd be really great to go and drink beer at a concert versus take in your water enhancers and, you know, put that in your sparkling water. But it is so worth it when you think about how far you've come and just the extra energy that you have.
Yeah, absolutely. It can't be understated. Now, I also found that, like you said, your analytical, data-driven husband came up with some other interesting benefits of doing the Ideal Protein program. Actually, it might help your bottom line as a family. Tell us a little bit about that. I guess he's got a spreadsheet.
He does. Yeah, he does. So ever since we started coming to Penny, Eric has kept and taken a picture of every receipt, and he's gone into our online financial tracking software and he has put in what have we spent that week for Ideal Protein food, what have we spent at the grocery store or the farmer's market, and then calculated that against what did we used to spend on fast food, gas station stuff, going out to eat. And we still go out to eat. I mean, you know, obviously people doing Ideal Protein go out to eat all the time. We can go out.
Right.
But he looks at that and he kind of compares and he can say, you know, yeah, if we're spending $100 this way versus $100 this way, it's really not that different. It's just changing the way in which we spend our funds.
And making you healthier.
Yeah.
Best investment ever.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. It's
Yeah.
absolutely the best healthcare dollar anybody can spend, hands down.
Well, and then I think you think about savings. You know, I was a very high risk life insurance candidate.
This is mind blowing. Tell
Yeah,
us about this. Yeah.
I was obese. You know, I started nearly 305 pounds. So I was obese. I was on different medications. I have polycystic ovarian syndrome. So I have all of these different check marks of high risk, high risk, high risk. And the only thing I feel like, you know, not a smoker. Well, okay, that's great. But when I went to my financial advisor after I'd lost maybe 75 pounds and I said, when do you think is the right time that we potentially recalculate my life insurance? Because I was paying an just crazy amount of money for monthly premiums. Yeah. And I said, do you think we can recalculate this? And he said, absolutely. And so he said, what have you lost? I got him in touch with Penny so that he could see, you know, the portfolio of inches lost, pounds lost. You know, if you could contact my primary care doctor, all of that. And now, and I'm going to recalculate it again next year. Now my premiums are down over $1,500 a year.
$1,500 a year. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and how many people think to do this, right? So again, listeners, viewers out there, if you've lost a significant amount of weight, really highly consider going back and
Yeah.
revisiting those premiums, those life insurance premiums, because you too, and or shop around,
Yeah,
Good
absolutely.
golly.
And there's a lot of different factors, but that was just something that it blew my mind that
Yeah.
not only was I stepping down off of medications and feeling amazing, but now I'm saving money too, that the only reason I was spending was because I was high risk, because I was heavy.
How sick you were. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, ladies, thank you so much for sharing your stories. Like I said, you both have some really inspirational and motivational things to share with people. Penny, I want to kind of finish up here and talk about how can people in Lincoln, Nebraska find you?
Well, there's a couple of ways. If you go to the Ideal Protein Clinic Finder, so idealprotein.com Clinic Finder, I'm listed there as One Saved Penny. That again was my original coaching name, and that's why I'm registered with Ideal Protein. Anywhere else online, it's Ideal Protein with Penny, and I do a lot of posting and a lot of testimonials and stories. So you type that in the search bar on Facebook or Instagram or even Google, and I'm going to pop right up.
Fantastic. Excellent. Well, like I said, thank you again, ladies. It's been so much fun spending the past couple of weeks. Jenna, we had a COVID thing right in the middle of what was going on here.
Yep.
So this has kind of been like 3 weeks in the making, but
Yes.
I really have enjoyed becoming friends with you ladies and Facebook
Same.
and our chats, etc. And I hope that we get to continue that.
Yes. Thank you for giving us some grace to reschedule, and life happens, and we're so glad that we were able to get this off the ground. So I really hope that people took away a couple of nuggets from today's episode. I know that I love listening to all the sessions that are out, and I'm a big fan as well. So thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right, ladies, hang out backstage. We'll catch up when I'm finished. Let me wrap this show up, bring it in for a landing. Thank you for being with us this episode, ladies and gentlemen. As always, please like and subscribe to the show. We are on Facebook and YouTube on the video format. Audio format is on iTunes, Spotify, and any place that you can find audio podcasts. Please pass us on to your friends. Pass us through your video feeds on your social media. And I hope that people will contact me with their stories, and maybe we can feature you when you are chasing your own life possible.